Hi, I'm JJ Gormley, and I would like to introduce you to the chakras. I was first introduced to the chakras in the mid-'80s when I was taking yoga class and the instructor was talking about the chakras. But I was a math major at the time and things had to be real, and the chakras weren't, and so I let it go in one ear and out the other. Then one day in my physics class, the professor was talking about vortex energy. He used the analogy of a river. And every time a river takes a bend, it sends off a little whirlpool of energy or a vortex. And he used some other examples and came to using the analogy of the human skeleton and the bones of the body and the movements that we take and the curves of the spine. And each curve of the spine and the movements that we take create vortex energy. And so the human body is a bundle of energy. And light bulbs went on and I suddenly decided these chakras could be real. And so every little alignment cue that I got from yoga teachers from then on, I kind of put in perspective and filtered it through this system of the chakras. So alignment cues at the base of the spine at chakra 1, I pieced together as chakra 1 alignment, and so on up the spine. And that's been my study since the mid-'80s, and that's what I'm going to present on this video when we go to the yoga studio. But before we go to the yoga studio, I'd like to talk a little bit about alignment in general and what that means to me. It's more than just about this technical instruction on how to align the body. It's how you align your body inside your body and how that creates energy. For example, if you sit like this and align yourself like this, your energy is depressed. And not only does your body feel that, but the people around you pick up on that. And if you align yourself like this, then your energy is uplifting and the people around you pick up on that. So aligning your body has more to do with how you relate to not only yourself and the energies in your body, but how other people also will relate to you. And then taking it even a step further, it's how your body aligns with nature. Capital N. And so alignment to me is how the energy in your body is related to the divine. So now let's go to the yoga studio and play with aligning your chakras. Here we are in the yoga studio, ready to play with that chakra alignment. Today with me is Sarah, and she's going to be the model on which we'll look at the chakra alignment in various poses. The idea behind these chakra movements are that there are two movements, and they are opposing movements, and the idea is to do both movements together in order to bring balance to the various chakras, to each chakra. Also in the studio today is Seymour. And Seymour is going to show us his bones, and we'll look at the bones and the alignment of the various chakras, and then we'll take it back over to Sarah and look at Seymour's bones through Sarah. So we put your X-ray vision on and see if you can see the bones on Sarah. So I'll show you step by step, chakra by chakra, the bones that we'll be looking at. So starting down at the bottom, at chakra 1, here's the tailbone. We'll be looking at the tailbone and it moving in toward the front of the body. And on the front body, here's the pubic bone. And this pubic bone is going to move back toward the back body as the tailbone comes in toward the front body. So those two movements, they're opposite movements. They both need to happen at the same time. And so here is chakra 1, the very base of your spine. Moving on up to chakra 2. Chakra 2 is in this region here, the whole pelvic girdle. These 2 points here, the hip points, moving toward each other. You can do that by toning the belly, a little bit of abdominal tone. On the back body, here's the sacrum, this triangular piece of bone that's wedged in between the 2 big pelvic bones. And the top edge of the sacrum is going to move forward toward the front of the body. And that will create this nice deep, you can see how deeply embedded the sacrum is in the body. and not tipping the pelvis back. So the sacrum toward the front body and the hip points toward each other are the two opposing movements of chakra 2. If you do only hip points toward each other, you'll pull the sacrum back. If you do only the sacrum in, you soften the belly and the hip points flare out. So both need to happen at the same time. That's chakra 2. Moving on up to chakra 3, here at the solar plexus area. This region right here is called the solar plexus, sort of above the navel and up to the bottom of the sternum. And it encompasses the whole lower rib cage, which is where your diaphragm attaches at. Your diaphragm attaches right along these ribs all the way from the front body into the back body. So you can think of expanding your breath to help expand chakra 3. But I'd rather you think about moving the bones. And so that's going to be these lower ribs moving outward, away from each other, away from the spine to expand the back body, and on the front body, expanding these ribs this way. We'll open this cartilage here, expanding the whole lower rib cage, your whole diaphragm circumferentially in all directions. That's chakra 3, the solar plexus area. Moving up to chakra 4, the heart chakra. Here, the sternum, this piece right here, moves down toward the navel, and on the back body, the thoracic spine moves up. So you get this kind of this movement like this, a bowing up and a softening down. It creates a nice softness on the heart and not a pushed up heart or a hardened heart. The contra to that is the collarbones rolling up and the shoulder blades sliding down the back. Those two movements are opposite. And they're sort of on this plane of the body, this sort of this vertical movement. There's also this horizontal movement of the chakra 4, and that is the collarbones broadening out and the shoulder blades coming in toward each other. And the opposite, shoulder blades apart and the collarbones in toward each other. So that's on the horizontal plane of the body. Both movements again. So here at chakra 4 we have 4 movements. The upward movement of the spine, the downward movement of the sternum being one movement, and the opposite, collarbones up and shoulder blades down, is the second movement, the counter. And then the movements on the horizontal plane, collarbones broadening and shoulder blades together, is one movement. Shoulder blades apart, collarbones toward each other is the second movement. That's the heart center. Got a lot going on in the heart chakra. It's the center of the 7 chakra system. It's chakra 4, there's 3 chakras below, 3 chakras above. So because it's right in the center, it's like Grand Central Station. A lot of stuff going on. I also like to think of it as like the clover leaf of a big highway system. Stuff happening on horizontal plane and the vertical plane. So it's got a lot going on. Moving up to chakra 5, let me just dislocate Seymour's jaw. It won't hurt a bit, Seymour, I promise. So that you can see this bone right here, the hyoid bone. Most of us have this forward head position where the hyoid is thrown forward. So chakra 5 is moving that hyoid back. And then the second part of chakra 5 is this releasing of the jaw, widening the palate, and it lets the tongue release to rest in the lower palate. So there's a softening of the jaw as the hyoid moves back. Hyoid back and the jaw lets go. It's the 2 movements of chakra 5. Up to chakra 6, right here in this region, the eyes move back to the back of the head. Looking on the back of Seymour's head, you can see these 2 seams where the skull bones formed. And your job is to imagine you can open these seams and see out the back of your head. So you bring openness to the back of your skull and a light feeling on the back of your skull. On the front body, you soften the forehead. So this furrowed brow that we sometimes get will disappear as you soften and broaden the forehead. It's like imagining your eyebrows slide away from each other. It'll be easier to see on Sarah since Seymour doesn't have any eyebrows. So this will move sideways. And then on the top of the head, there's a seam on the top of Seymour's head Imagine that also opening. And you can take energy in. You can take it down 6th chakra, 5th chakra. You can take it all the way down, 4th, 3, 2, all the way down to the 1st chakra. And you can also send it back up and out through the body. In yoga, I like to imagine taking energy in, since we're trying to gain energy in yoga, not discharge energy. So those are the 7 alignment movements, 7 chakras in a nutshell. We'll take it over to Sarah's body now and show you in some yoga poses. Thanks, Seymour. So here's Sarah lying on her back. And we're going to take all 7 chakra alignment movements in bridge pose to start, and then it will take a few other poses as well. So before we start with the chakra 1 alignment in bridge pose, we need to just get to know the movement of the pelvis and where a balanced pelvis is. So Sarah's just going to roll the pelvis forward and back, tucking or flattening the back and arching the back. So moving back and forth. And Sarah's quite flexible, so she'll be doing quite a large movement. But you just take whatever movement feels comfortable for you. It can be very minor movements, micro movements. So take whatever range of motion feels comfortable for you. And as you're going back and forth, I want you to imagine moving only from the tailbone. So you can imagine that you have this long monkey tail that uncurls along the floor, and then curl that tail back up between your legs as you tuck. And just go back and forth a couple of times with that in mind, moving from the tailbone. And just get to know what that feels like in your body, and then we'll switch. We'll go moving from the pubic bone only, so let your pubic bone drop and the pubic bone move up toward the ceiling. And just feel how that moves. And so we're trying to get the idea of which bone we move from more easily. For most of us, we move from the tailbone more easily, but some of us do move from the pubic bone. And the way to know that is just simply just to feel which one's easier, or sometimes your mind can't stay on it. Your mind starts to wander as you try to keep your mind on moving from the pubic bone. So just see which one is easier in your body, or which one your mind can stay on. And that's your habitual way of moving. And so because yoga is about balance, we're going to try to change that and move from our non-habitual way of moving. To bring the pelvis into balance, the navel and pubic bone will become aligned. That is, on the same level, the same distance from the floor. So go back and forth again and see if you can find where it feels like it's in balance for you. And then you can either put your hands on your pelvis and check, or you can roll up and look and see where is the pubic bone and navel about the same plane. Good. And so just show Sarah just show a tucked pelvis where now the navel is lower than the pubic bone, and then go in the other direction. Now the pubic bone is lower than the navel. So she brings it to balance. That is a balanced pelvis. If you have extra weight on your body, or if you're underweight, this navel position may not be a good indicator for you, and you'll just need to adjust for your body. But for the average Joe or the average Sarah, this is a good indicator. So she's balanced the pelvis, and now maintaining this balanced pelvis, she can add on more movement of chakra 1, which is the tailbone and pubic bone coming toward each other without moving the pelvis. And then you may feel a little internal muscular movement, and that's the movement of chakra 1. And also, when the pelvis is balanced, the sacrum is in its natural position. It's forward in the pelvis. It's in its good position. You simply need to add a little bit of tone on the front body to bring the hip points toward each other. And then just overdo that, Sarah, so we can see. If you overdo that, you tip the pelvis back. So you want to go back to a neutral pelvis, keep the sacrum right where it's at, and just add a little bit of belly tone. So that's the movements of chakra 1 and chakra 2. And we'll take that up into bridge pose. So go ahead and lift, press into your feet and lift up into bridge pose. She just lifts the hips up, and notice that nice alignment. She just lifted up. She kept chakra 1 and 2. Go back down, Sarah, for a minute, and let's just show what most people's habit is to lift from the tailbone. And she threw the sacrum back and lifted from the tailbone. So go back down, maintain chakra 1 alignment, maintain chakra 2 alignment, and it feels as though you're lifting from the top of the sacrum, keeping the balance here. So that looks good for chakra 1 and chakra 2. So we'll go up to this region, chakra 3, and you can see this little dip in here of the solar plexus, which indicates to me that her chakra 3 is coming up in a good balance. So Sarah, could you just push up? This is not a good balance in chakra 3 where the belly's pushing up, and pushing chakra 3 is your power chakra, so she's pushing her power out of her body. So if you breathe into your back body, expand the ribs circumferentially around in all directions, you keep your own power and you expand the bones of chakra 3. And then moving on up to chakra 4, you keep this soft feeling in the heart as though the sternum moves toward the navel and the thoracic spine moves up, and you add on the collarbones rolling up and the shoulder blades coming on to the back. So the shoulder blades, just with gravity, the shoulder blades will hang off the back. So your job is to really keep the shoulder blades on the back. But if you overdo that, really push that, then you get a hard feeling in the heart. And so just release a little bit, let that soft feeling in the heart, where the heart feels like it moves toward the navel, and then keep that as you roll the collarbones and the shoulder blades. Nice. And coming up to chakra 5, the throat area, when your head is on the floor and your body's on the floor, your shoulders, the hyoid is naturally back. So you don't need to worry about moving the hyoid back any further than the floor. You just simply let that go and come to the second aspect of chakra 5, where you release and widen the palate, release the tongue and jaw. Yes. And then chakra 6, let's just show real eyes coming forward. See how the eyes feel like they reach up toward the ceiling to see, and then she'll take that vision back, softening the eyes to the back of the head. That's beautiful. And the second movement of chakra 6 is to soften the eyebrows. And do you want to just show the opposite of that too? Furrow the eyebrows, yes, that way. Don't do that. Broaden the forehead so it softens. It feels as though the eyebrows move away from each other. And then opening the crown chakra, and you can take that energy all the way through as far down as you like. And that's a nice, soft, beautiful pose. So that's bridge pose. Let's have Sarah roll onto her stomach now for cobra pose. So now Sarah's on her belly. The navel and the pubic bone are level using the floor. And so all she needs to do is take the tailbone in without moving the pubic bone toward the navel. So do the harsh movement where you really, that's too much tailbone, the pubic bone is moved toward the navel, so erase that. And now keeping the pubic bone approximately where it is. Try not to let the pubic bone move toward the navel. Try to keep that distance the same. Don't let the pubic bone move forward as you take the tailbone in. Nice. And then the sacrum is also nicely in just by lying on the floor like this. So your job is simply to tone the belly to bring the hip points toward each other without popping the sacrum back. And the sacrum is still nicely in. So we move up to third chakra. So she'll begin to breathe into these ribs, expanding the ribs this way. And also you can feel your ribs on the floor, breathing into the floor, your lower ribs. So she gets circumferential expansion at chakra 3. And then go ahead and bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Keeping a soft heart, she'll start to roll the collarbones up and slide the shoulder blades down the back, getting that nice movement into the back bend. And go ahead and just harden the heart, push forward into it. So she's pushed forward with the shoulder blades, overdone it, and the heart is lifted. So you want to keep that soft feeling in the heart and simply add the shoulder blades on top, like putting on a sweater. Nice. And then Sarah, can you throw your hyoid out and look up? So this is, you can see the congestion in the back of the neck here. It's compressed, and this actually is a bad habit we get in, so she'll let go of that, erase it, and then she'll bring the hyoid back, Releasing the jaw, let go of the tongue. The eyes also, you can do the movement of pushing the eyes forward and then bringing the eyes back, softening the forehead, opening the crown chakra. And look at that nice, beautiful pose. It's lovely. Come on back down. Now let's have Sarah come up into table pose. And here we'll look at the pelvis going into a tuck and an arch position. And again, remembering that we need balance of the pubic bone and tailbone. We won't take the tailbone all the way into a tuck. And the pubic bone has shortened the distance from pubic bone to navel, and go in the other direction. The pubic bone is dropped way back and the tailbone is flown away. The tailbone is that big monkey tail up in the rafters of the ceiling. And so coming back to neutral. As you go into the tucked position, feel as though the pubic bone is a wall, and as the tailbone comes in, it comes toward a wall that's resisting. It won't fly away. So she'll keep a little wall there for the pubic bone as she brings the tailbone in. Yes. And the sacrum stays in, and she simply adds a little belly tone. Just do too much belly tone and throw the sacrum back. Yeah, the sacrum's tipped back a little bit too much, so release the sacrum in. Nice. Breathing in the front ribs and the back ribs. The heart is nice and soft here. Here she just needs to make sure she keeps a little broadness to the collarbones and the shoulder blades down. Hyoid back, release the head and jaw, releasing the jaw, the eyes back, and the crown chakra open. And so that's a nice pose right there. And then moving in the other direction now, here she won't totally let go of the tailbone. She'll keep the tailbone feeling as though it stays toward the pubic bone. And go ahead and totally dump now she's dropped the sacrum in too deep. The hip points is flared and the belly is soft. It feels like a dump truck. So she keeps a little bit of belly tone. Not too much, not to push the sacrum back. Coming up to third chakra, breathing around the whole lower ribs. Good. And then you can overdo pushing the heart forward and rolling the collarbones up so she makes sure she maintains a soft heart, and adding the collarbones and shoulder blades onto that. And then the hyoid back before she brings the chin up. Relaxed jaw and chin, eyes back, forehead soft, opening the crown chakra, and there's a nice back bend. Let's go right from here into dog pose. Now here, she'll bend the knees to tuck and arch the pelvis. And again, it's that monkey tail and the wall of the pelvis, so you keep a balanced pelvis. Once you find the balance of the pelvis, you bring the tailbone and pubic bone toward each other, and it's as though there's a little magnetic charge there that you send down the back of the legs into the heels. Keeping the top of the sacrum in, make sure you don't dump truck the belly. You got a little belly tone. Come up to chakra 3. Breathe circumferentially around the whole lower rib cage. The heart looks nice and soft. She simply makes sure she's got collarbones and shoulder blades. The hyoid looks nice and soft. She makes sure the jaw is released and the eyes move to the back of the head, that her forehead is soft, and then she opens the crown chakra, takes that energy all the way into the pose. Looks very nice. Now let's come up to standing, to Tadasana. This is a good time to talk about the charge and discharge of the energy of the body, and specifically with chakra 1 alignment. So Sarah's going to bend her knees and tuck and arch the pelvis back. So stay in that tucked position for now. So here's the tucked position. Go ahead and take your legs straight from there. This is typical posture. And she's putting the heart chakra and the 5th chakra with it. This is a discharge of energy. She's losing energy. She's heading toward fatigue, depression, one of the lower energy dis-eases of the body. So let's move it back quickly. Move it back into a charge position. So here the pubic bone's back. You can see that charge come into the body. Her whole body gets charged with energy. This is the type of body that doesn't need that extra cup of coffee. Doesn't need any cups of coffee. So the idea is to find some kind of balance here. So she's going to find the balance in the pelvis. Bending the knees is the best way to do that. And here what we're looking for is the vertical line from navel to pubis. So yes, and again, being mindful if you're carrying extra weight or underweight, that you can find that. And then you can stretch the legs straight once you find that. So now the pelvis is balanced, which means the sacrum is in its right position. Go ahead and put your hand on the back of your sacrum, on the back of your sacrum, and just add a little bit more belly tone. Yes, without moving the pelvis. Exactly. And then go ahead and take the hands up. Third chakra. And let's show what front body breathing is. Breathing only in the front ribs. This is our habit. We breathe only into the front body. And so the work is trying to get the breath to open into the back ribs. So she'll play, and you can see Sarah's been practicing. She's good at moving breath into the back body. And now moving it into both. Back body, then the front body. Moving it into the back body first is better because that's the harder part. So you want to try that first, and then it will naturally begin to come into the front body. So you get it to go all around in all directions. And then the heart chakra looks nicely softened on Sarah, so she'll simply roll the collarbones up and let the shoulder blades slide down the back. And go ahead and throw your hyoid out. And so coming back into the fifth chakra alignment, you bring the hyoid back and releasing the jaw, let go of the tongue, fifth chakra alignment. And bug your eyes forward toward me. Sixth chakra reverse, put it into the correct movement, and the eyebrows soften. And opening the crown chakra, taking that energy all the way down to your feet and back up. Lovely. Let's do one more pose, triangle pose, a standing pose. So you take the feet apart, about a leg's length apart. Make it comfortable for you and where you still feel steady on your feet. And then again, we'll play with the tilt and tuck of the pelvis, and it's best to do with bent knees. So she'll tuck and arch the pelvis, just feeling her range of motion. Again, you can see Sarah's flexibility here. So here, how to tell when your pelvis is balanced is to look at the feet. And so go ahead and tuck your pelvis, and look how the weight on her foot is more toward the baby toe side of the foot. And then take your pelvis in the other direction, and now the weight comes more onto the big toe side of the foot. And so Sarah will use her feet to teach her where her pelvis is. And when you do this, be sure you let the whole leg reflect that movement of the pelvis, and you don't just push the foot around, which can torque the knees. So let the pelvis and the whole leg down to the foot go with whatever the pelvis is doing. So she finds the balance of her pelvis by watching her feet. Once you've got the balanced pelvis, go ahead and take your hand to your sacrum. She puts her hand on her sacrum so she can tell if she's pushing her sacrum back, and she begins to add belly tone at chakra 2 without moving the sacrum back. So it feels like the sacrum and the belly both come in toward each other, and that's the alignment at chakra 2. Coming up to chakra 3, Sarah, could you throw your ribs forward? Yeah. So the lower ribs forward tends to be a habit. So she's going to bring her breathing into the back body. The ribs come back. She makes sure she's breathing circumferential. Sarah, you can put your hand right there to feel the breath in the front and the back. And then go ahead and round your shoulders. Typical fourth chakra work that we need to do. Here the heart is nicely soft, so she simply needs to begin to roll the collarbones and slide the shoulder blades down the back. Yes, lovely. And then go ahead and throw your hyoid out. This is dangerous to turn the head to look up with your hyoid out. It's bad on the neck and injure your neck. So be sure before you begin to turn your head up that you move the hyoid back, and then the head can turn up. And let's not forget to relax the jaw and release the tongue. Looks good. And then the eyes move back to the back, forehead soft, opening the crown chakra, taking that energy all the way down to the legs. It's beautiful. So that's it on our 7 chakras, the alignment of each chakra. Thank you, Sarah. That was lovely. And thank you for joining us. I hope you learned about how to balance your body and align your body so that the energies in your body move more freely, and also your alignment with others and with the divine comes to you. Thank you.